Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Daisy and I'm a knitwear designer. On this channel I talk about knitting and all the creative processes around it. I also talk about Ukraine, my heritage, and many other things. So if you're interested, please subscribe. I'm recording this episode for my Patreon and YouTube channel members who will get a primary access. So if you'd like to stay up to date, please join me on Patreon or as a member of this channel. Hi everyone and welcome back to my podcast. I'm coming to you again from my studio in Haarlem. It's a dark December morning and unfortunately it's not gonna get much lighter, so I'm just catching all the light that I have and recording this episode for you. I have a new sample to show you, and also I want to share with you a video from my trip to Denmark earlier this autumn. So we will be talking about natural dyeing and of course some knitting and yarns. So let's dive in. Before we start with the podcast, I have a little announcement for everyone. Patreon now has a free membership option, which means that anyone can join and follow me along on the journey. And every month there I post an agenda for the month. So being at the free level, you see the agenda and you can decide if you'd like to join me in this month or not with the financial support. I think that's fair enough, and it's a really nice way to stay in touch and see what I'm working on if you would like that. Because Instagram is becoming more and more frustrating and I have less and less control of what you're saying, and also you have less and less control of what is shown to you. So it is a really nice platform to support creators on their own terms without the ads and algorithms and stuff like that. So I invite you to join me on Patreon, if not on one of the paid membership levels, then just as a free member. I'll be very happy to see you all there. And now, if you remember, in one of the previous episodes I talked about the book I brought from Ukraine with all the interesting places, and I talked about the painter called Polina who decorated her house with all the very naive, very folksy illustrations. And just at that moment I told you that I really want to make a design inspired by her work, and it's finally here. I think I did a good job capturing what she was about and how she saw the world. I used one of her illustrations as an inspiration. So she had these beautiful strange sort of flowers with very big leaves, and I thought that was very mystical and very beautiful way to portray a botanical motif. So I took that as an inspiration and I designed this kind of flower. And when I showed it to my mom, she said that looked like a sunflower. Really, it's more round here and this little sort of seeds or so. But yeah, to me it's not a sunflower because Polina had them really long, so this part would be going up like a long thing. Sorry. So yeah, I don't know, maybe for you this is a sunflower, but yeah, for me it's just some mystical flower that she created or she saw in her imagination. So I took this one and I put it on a round yoke, a sort of, not that way, this way, and I will show you the pullover. So this is how the pullover looks like. I called it Polina in her honor. I was wondering about the name for quite some time, really, and then some of my patrons on Patreon suggested that you can't take Raiko as a name because that's her husband's name, but last name, and that's not so much homage to her. So then I thought, yeah, I should use her first name and just keep it as a Polina sweater or Polina pullover. So it's knit top down, so you start with a neck, and I thought at the beginning that I will be folding it in, like just folding it double, like that, to have this double ribbing sort of color. But then when I was done and almost ready to fold, I actually really enjoyed how it was standing just on its own, because it has this 2x1 ribbing, and then it transitions into 1x1 ribbing, and then it goes again to 2x1, and that creates a really nice shape when the top is flaring up a bit, but then the neck stays gathered in together with the 1x1 ribbing, and then it flares out again when you go a little bit lower on the yoke. So I kept that as my version, and I also had to do a bit of a surgery here, because this one in the pattern you won't have this anymore, but because I didn't do the short rows for the neck when I was doing the whole improvisation thing, when I was planning to fold it, so then I had to go back and insert a section of short rows for the neck here on the back for it to be able to stand comfortably and not be pulling backwards. So you won't see this seam line here, that won't be in the pattern. So yeah, if you decide, the pattern has 3 options for the neck. So you could choose between this standing nicely flaring mock neck, and then you will do the short rows built in it, so there's no problems. And then you can also choose to start from the 1x1 ribbing section, so it will be a nice crew neck or scoop neck, with just starting with 1x1 ribbing and then moving to the 2x1 ribbing. And then there is a third option when you actually fold it, so you work with the short rows, with everything as the neck is described, and then you just fold it inwards and you work the stitches together, and then you continue with the yoke. So it will be a nice folded double ribbing in this pattern, because it's not only 2x2 ribbing, there's little sections here with seed stitch, and then that all transitions nicely into the color work, into the flowers. So you do these flowers with these big leaves, very expressive, very loud, and then there is another section of short rows here at the bottom of the yoke to make it even more comfortable to wear, and then there is more color work on the body and on the sleeves, just little small flowers. And then I think if you feel like you want to have more color work and continue down to the body, I would say, as Polina actually painted them, draw them, you can actually continue those flowers just down with these little seeds and just make them really long and nice flowers. Or you can also reverse this pattern this way and then make another section close to the hem, just flowers looking up at each other. That could be also really nice. So that depends how much color work you'd like to have on already color work intense sweater. I thought it was a good balance between this really nice and big flowers and leaves, and then to have a bit of a smaller repeat to balance it out a bit. But if you want more, you can always have more. That's easy. The only thing that might scare you, I think, here is the size of the repeat and the size of the floats. It does come with long floats, and you can either use the ladder back jacquard technique when you create extra stitches on the wrong side and then use them to catch the floats. They won't be visible on the right side, but they will hold your yarn. Or you can just catch them nicely using your regular technique, and I'm doing that. I'm not using the ladder back jacquard. I'm just twisting the yarn every 3-4 stitches as I go, and it also gives a nice result, and you don't have to worry about, this is how the wrong side looks like, and you don't have to worry about the long floats. Yeah, so for me that's not a problem. I enjoy working color work, and I do continental style, and I also hold one strand of yarn at a time, so I don't do the double strands and then just picking it. I have more control when I work each strand and each repeat separately, so that gives me more control in terms of tension, and that also makes it easier to catch floats. And yeah, I think that for now that's my way of working color work, and I'm sort of very happy with how it looks. I think it's quite good. I think it looks quite good. So with this one, what did we do? What else did we do? There is nothing much. It's just the color work. So with this one, it's just the neck. It's where you can choose a lot of options, and then the body and the sleeves is more or less seamless, just the color work and regular sleeves and regular ribbing. The one other thing I wanted to mention is that because of the size of the repeat here, there are not too many sizes. I think there's 5 sizes if I'm not wrong. So you have quite a range to choose from, but it's not like you will be able to customize it to a centimeter. It will give quite a bit of room, so you either go, if you're between sizes, you either go for a more fitted or a more oversized version, but I tried to make it as inclusive as possible, so I hope everyone will be able to find a good size for them. I made my sample in the G-Uld one, Darnie from Studio Donegal. You probably know that it's one of my go-to yarns, and it's super soft. I used as contrasting color here the G-Uld number 3, this a nice grass green color, which is slightly thinner than the main color, but it still blooms up and opens up nicely, so they work nicely together. They do work nicely together. In general, I would say you could mix, for the color work, you could mix a bit like heavy fingering and sport weight. I think that's what they are. So the Darnie would be sport weight, and number 3 is the like fingering on the heavier side of the fingering, I think. So if you look at 2 strands, it would be like this. Can you see it? Yeah, it's they are compatible, so you can mix the 2 together. It's just because I wanted a different color for the contrasting, and the green was so beautiful that I couldn't resist. So yeah, so this one is in testing, and I hope to have it out in January. So because there's a lot of color work, and I see we had a bit of a hiccup with the neck. Well, when I was grading the pattern, I didn't think all things through. So there's the sections that go from ribbing into the color work. They weren't all consistent in the other sizes. So not like here. Not all were transitioning directly into color work. And then, yeah, my tester suggested that shouldn't be that way, and it could have been nicer to have them all moving smoothly from ribbing into color work with this nice seed stitch transitioning lines. So yeah, I had to rewrite the next section, and now it's all super beautiful, and yeah, I'm very happy with it. So you see, test knits are very important. Sometimes I'm too close to see clearly where I'm coming short, so I very much appreciate the testers who give me such helpful feedback. So this is the Polina pullover, and I hope you like it. I think it's a beautiful tribute to Polina's work, and unfortunately her house museum was destroyed during the flood. I think we'll have most of her work available only on pictures and in the archives. Yeah. And now a little reminder in a knitting world. So with this, I think I'll move to the next item on the agenda today, and that's the yarn dyeing workshop that I attended at G-Uld in Denmark. When was it? In October. And it's not sponsored. I paid my own money for the workshop, and this will be just an honest review of what we were doing there, and I'll show you some footage from the workshop. So it was a 4-day workshop in a small village where they have the studio and the farm, and we've been using like dried material and also fresh material that we collected around. So we went on a little field trip. We gathered oak leaves, mugwort, what else? Hazel, and then we also had some walnuts, the dried ones. We had cochineal, we had madderroot, and we also did indigo. So it was very exciting. We managed to create 71 colors using just natural, fresh or dried material, and then different before and after treatments. So it's been very exciting to see how the colors come together, how they appear or disappear. In the end, you get this color circle of small embroidery yarn skeins that you can use for embroidery, or you just can put them on the wall, or I'm just having them around to admire. And their shop with the yarns and everything is actually right there. So over the course of these 4 days, you are roaming around the shop, and you can also buy their book. They sent me this book together with the yarn when we had our first collaboration, and that was Purpurea sweater. I made a light version for their number 4 yarn with silk mohair, and they also made a sample, and it was hanging there in the shop. So it was super nice to see my design in the wild out there. So that was also very nice. So they sent me this book like long time ago, and at the beginning I didn't think that I would be that much interested in dyeing, because I'm not planning, I don't have the space for it and the time for it. So I just put it on the shelf. I opened it up, of course, and I looked at the pictures and everything, and it was so nice. but I didn't think much of it. And then when I signed up for the workshop, I thought, okay, I should read the book before I go there. Then maybe I have some extra questions, or at least I know something before I get my hands on it. So yeah, I didn't have the time for it. So I made a pact with myself that I go there, I learn what they can teach in 4 days, and then I read the book to deepen the knowledge, or find out more things that I missed in the class. To be honest, I haven't read it yet, and it's been October, like 2 months already, so it has to be probably on my Christmas reading list if I'm not busy knitting a new sample. So the book, they did self-publishing, and Anne, one of the co-owners of G-Uld, she's a graphic designer, and she did the whole layout, and it's very beautiful book to look at, and it's also very timeless. Unlike many of the knitting books that are published now that look too, almost like a magazine, and they don't feel timeless to me. This is also this Danish sort of Scandinavian sense of style and everything. I admire that a lot. So the book is absolutely beautiful, and I think it's going to be a timeless piece. They published it probably like 5 to 8 years ago, and it remains. When did they publish it? This is already a second edition, originally published in 2015. So 8 years. So if you are into natural dyeing, I would recommend. I don't know how good the content is, but in terms of how it looks and how passionate Anne and Louise are about their job, and how I've seen the processes, how everything is organized, and how many colors they can produce, and they know it in and out. So I think it's a good source, at least for a beginner like me. I don't think I will need more information than it in this book. I also got some yarn, of course. Nobody could leave the shop without the yarn, and I think most of the colors that I was eyeing were gone in the first or second day, but I still could get some of my colors, and I think these are probably walnut, and these are with a cochineal as a base. So I got some yarns. I got some yarns of their number 3, which is fingering weight, and I already know what I'm gonna do with this too. That's why it's bold. But these ones are still pending, but I know that they are going to look really nice for color work. It's fingering weight, so I could do nice intricate pattern. And very exciting. So the next year you can expect me having some collaborations with them, because I've seen it all, and it's very inspiring. The only thing I wasn't expecting from natural dyeing actually is, it came as a surprise to me, is how much water you waste. How much water you need to dye things, and I don't think it's necessarily. I'm new in the topic, so I'm not an authority here. It's just my observation. I can't compare it to another ways of dyeing things, and I imagine if it's dyeing with chemicals, then your water is also toxic. So your wastewater is just not good. But then also with natural dyeing, you need to rinse it constantly, and you do need a lot of water. So that makes me think about about colors at all. Like, maybe it is much better to use yarn that it's not dyed, for the environment, for sure. But yeah, if you use colors, then use naturally dyed, and then you at least know that there are no harmful chemicals in the yarn remaining, and also it wasn't that bad for the environment. There are regulations for what you can put into the wastewater, of course, which chemicals you can use but I don't think they are strict enough, and I don't think they are enforced enough to, especially for small dyers. I don't think they. It's a complicated issue, it's a complicated topic, and if you're wondering about it, I'm just trying to raise your attention to bring your attention to this question, because for me, I never thought about it. I never realized how much yarn has to be washed before and during and after the whole process of dyeing. So it is a big impact on the water system, and you are lucky if you live in a country where you have water. So tricky. So with this, I think I will wrap up. Thank you for watching. Please join me on Patreon, Instagram, and hit subscribe button here on YouTube. I will probably see you next time in the New Year's. So happy holidays, happy festive season, all the best wishes to you and your families. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones. I wish you lots of peace and happiness, and I will see you very soon. Bye.